I cannot get employed unless I learn Finnish. What do you want me to do? And it was, okay, so I'm kind of like this, they call it väliinputoja, so a person who has fallen between the cracks. So I'm not an immigrant, but I'm treated in the work field as an immigrant, but I'm a Finn, so I don't have the immigrant rights. Not all Finland is bad, not everybody in Finland is racist. I am proud of being Kuwaiti and a Finn, but I'm proud of the good parts of them. I'll try to work on the bad parts. I'm Nora, and I'm a mixed Finn, so born in Finland, and my mother is from Finland, father is from Kuwait, so quite a unique mix. They were divorced when I was 2, and he lives in Kuwait. Even though I knew him through stories, through pictures, through letters, I did not know him personally. Our family did have like a place in somewhere called Hirvensalmi, so somewhere close to Mikkeli, that side, where I spent many of my summers there as a child. But we were study licensed, so that means really from Helsinki. We were living actually in Itä, so it's in east of Helsinki, where I went to the daycare there, and my grandmother had, and my grandparents, both of them, well, my grandfather was alive and my grandmother then as well, so they had their place as well there. My mom was telling me these small stories, and I do remember the time that they tried to separate me with my best friend at the daycare because her parents wanted so. She was told like, oh, she shouldn't play with me because I was different. I was from a different background. They separated us. They put us in different groups. We have these plays that we do in the end of the year, or these things at the daycare. So the teacher was like telling my mother, is it okay if we put Nora as the bad witch because she has such a beautiful black hair, so she makes a bad evil witch. And for me, of course, I was excited to be just in the play. But now when I'm older, I think like, oh, you were putting a color on evil. It was like, maybe not the best choice at this moment. Like, why does a bad witch have to have black hair? Yeah, those kind of things did happen. But of course, as a child, you don't grasp into them, so you don't remember them that clearly. I remember me and my best friend being separated, but I don't remember why. The lovely part was, even though my whole family are white and light-skinned and light hair, like they have light hair, I was never made to feel different within the house. So I was so loved from my family, from my direct family. I was my grandparents' little girl who was all the time with them. I was with them like through the whole summer, and my mom was very proud of my curls, and she loved my skin color, and she always praised me with my own looks. So I never felt bad about being different. Of course, you notice as a child, but you don't, if it's not made into a negative thing, I don't think a child really takes it as a burden. Like, why am I different? It didn't bother me. My mother was trying to give me parts of my Arabic culture because she's not an Arab, so she would not be able to fulfill that part of my culture. So she was taking me to some like Arabic lesson schools. She was going around with friends who were like from Arab backgrounds. So she tried to keep that part of my identity, cultural identity, somehow alive. I remember walking in the apartment and shouting Arabic words that my mother had just taught me or something. So it was like she made it exciting. She made me love and the idea of me having the right of another culture or another language. It was very easy for my father to say to her, like, oh yeah, we need to make a relationship with Nora. And he was saying that for me to have a relationship and Nora would have her culture and maybe she can learn English so we can have a language to communicate. And so come here to States for a while and we can put Nora to English schools and like her English language can progress. At that time he had another daughter, so my sister, so Nora gets to know her sister and so on. So it was extremely important for my mother, and my father was able to convince my mom to visit him in States, and we went to visit him and he ended up like abducting me. So he kidnapped me without my mother's knowledge.
Sorry. He like kidnapped movie style, like took you, said, hey, come visit.
Yes. That's how exactly it happened. He had it very smartly planned. My father has asked me if I wanted to see my grandmother, and of course I love my grandmother, Mummi, and my Finnish grandmother. And I did not realize that he is actually talking about his own mother. So he was kind of using words that made me think that he is talking about my Finnish grandmother. He just puts me in the car and drives to the airport and in the airplane, and I find myself in a new country.
When did you start to feel that something was wrong?
In the airplane, I got motion sickness, and that's where he hit me and said to me that good children don't grow up. And that was when I realized that something is wrong. Something is very wrong.
Immediately after, did your mother call the police?
Oh yes. My mother filed a case in States, and this was handled like there, and he was found, of course, guilty for the crime he's done, and all of his he had a lot of stuff in States, that like property, and there was like consequences for what he's done. But in Kuwaiti law, he didn't do anything illegal. He just took his child. So the parents have the right of their children. So he didn't do anything wrong. So, and he had the excuse that I don't want her to be raised in a country where it's like she will start dating or she will have boyfriends and so on. And it's not a very, very good like culture for my child, and I don't choose that culture. So he was able to argue that in the court of law in Kuwait, because the case did follow him all the way to Kuwait. But there, he's also a person with power, so it's very difficult to. But I did meet very nice Kuwaitis who supported me, kept reminding me about my mother, my love, like my mother's love to me, how much she has sacrificed. I did carry like a bit of hard feelings for a while, that why did she take me to States? But when I became an adult and I started realizing that I would have done the same thing, you start understanding, like, okay, that wasn't her fault. He was able to get her to trust him. I would have chosen to go to my ex if there is a child, and I want my child to have that part of their own right, of their culture and identity, and get to know their other parent. It's the best choice to do at the given situation. So I went to Kuwait to live for 16 years without any Finnish culture or Finnish language.
What was daily life like? So you adjusted
It's
after a certain
yeah,
point?
you do adjust. As a child, you adjust. The problem was that my mother tongue was Finnish. It wasn't Arabic or English, so I didn't even know the language. So I had to learn Arabic and English, and I did learn them. They became my mother tongues, both of them. So they ended up being much stronger than my Finnish, and I forgot my brain erased the whole Finnish language. Like a child's brain does adapt. So that's totally fine. But the problem was I still had memories which cannot be erased. So I knew that my mother was taken away from me. I knew that my grandparents that I loved were taken away from me. My cousins, at least my elder cousin, we were quite close beforehand. Like we have so many memories as children together. So that was taken away from me. My daycare, my friends were taken away from me. So these all things, you feel like the anger for this is my right, like I want to see my mom. Luckily, I was 6 years old. I was almost 7. So that meant I remembered. I had a very good memory. I had my early childhood development in Finland with my mother. So that gave me a lot of resilience to keep on. And also those people I met in Kuwait who kept reminding me, don't forget, your mother loves you. Don't forget, you finish your studies, you manage to become an adult, you can leave. Don't forget, don't give up. I was a good student, so I did very well at school. And my father is a man of power as well. So we were very privileged. I never had to clean. I never had to wash. I never had to do anything. We had drivers that drove us to school, people getting everything done for us. So when I moved to Finland, I remember when I realized how spoiled I was. I moved to Finland and I was living with my daughter, and I cut my finger while I was cooking, preparing food. So I went and took a plaster and I put it on my finger and then continued cooking. And then I realized that I did not put the papers of my plaster in the trash. Where did I put them? I started going around the house looking for them, and I found them on the floor because I'm used to that. I use something, throw it, someone will pick it up. I don't have to pick up after myself. I don't have to pick up anything after myself. And this was something that people don't understand why, but this is how privileged some people have been, and many people from Middle East have been this privileged. And our houses are bigger than they are, like for in Finnish standards, they are multi-million euro houses. I had my own bedroom that was the size of half of my apartment today. And I had my own changing room and my own bathroom that were huge. So altogether, there may be 3/4 of my apartment today where I live with my husband and son. So we were privileged middle class. So we weren't even the richest of the rich. I had really easy life. My father, sadly, on the other hand, was very abusive, and I feel he was extreme, like he was taking revenge on my mother more than wanting to hurt me. He was taking revenge on that. So the pain she caused him, he has to cause to me because he has to get back to her. That was some kind of a triangle there. If we remove the bad parts of it, like the missing my mother and like the abuse that came from my father, but other than that, the life was very wonderful. One of the people who really helped me to develop my language and reading. I have, it seems like, certain type of dyslexia, but I haven't ever checked it because somehow this person has helped me to get through it. So with the Latin alphabet, my eyes jump, and it's very difficult for me to read. Sometimes the numbers, they flip, or the letters flip, so somehow it has been difficult, and I have to take pauses, and I have to read slowly if I'm reading out loud. So this nanny and has noticed, and she used to lay down next to me in bed and taking children's books and reading through them, and then she would give me like, yeah, can you read for a couple of pages? I got tired holding the book. So I take hold the book and I start reading, and I read slowly, but I'm reading because we're continuing the story. So it was exciting, like there was no judgment here, so it felt very comfortable. And realizing that she used to use something called the common third, that you are doing something together while you're teaching someone without them realizing that they've been taught. Because she was a teacher with master's degree from Philippines, she was able to help me to really reach a lot in my studies. What happened right after that, it was just a few days later, where I was called into the room, and I was asked by one of my house members, saying to me, how dare you allow the help to sleep in your bed? And for me, that didn't make sense, because she is like almost all the time with me. She's I had no mother figure, so she is the closest I can hold on to. I was just 14 years old. She was an important figure that time. And I didn't like that. I did not argue, though I didn't say anything. So I tried to, like, okay, so this is how it is. She is the help, and it's not proper for them to sleep in my bed. And she never slept in my bed after that. But luckily, she wasn't noticed from the very beginning. It was just the last day, like one of those days that she was noticed, and that's when hell broke loose, and we understood that we cannot do that. I have like a family member who stopped another driver in the middle of a highway on the side, took the driver out of their car and smacked him on the face. And when this person came to the car, I was like, why did you do that? He said, he's driving like so stupid. They come to our country and they drive so bad. And that driver was from an Asian background. So for me, that wasn't, and of course was used a lot of slurs when explaining that. For me, it wasn't okay. So there were these small incidents where many of even good people seem to think that they are higher and more, they have more rights than others. Just because someone has moved to help in your country does not make them any less than you, but for them, you are less. They are less. Anybody who is not a local Kuwaiti was less for them. I think the last painful thing happened that still stays in my mind, where my father found out that I was dating. And of course, even if you take your child out of Finland so they wouldn't date, they will date wherever they are in the world. It's a human nature. And my boyfriend was a Black Kuwaiti and a wonderful, wonderful young man, and so respectful. And but my father found his picture in my wallet. And what was the worst part, he never came to me and said to me, "You're dating?" No, that wasn't the problem here. He did not talk about men or about dating or about sex or any of that involves dating life. He came and kept saying, a slave? You haven't found anyone else but a slave? And for me, that was, I think, the breaking point, that I realized that I can't live in a society where a fellow citizen is called such horrible slurs and and names, and it was really hard.
What was the hierarchy? Could you explain that? To be black or dark skinned was to be a slave.
Yes.
And then Asian was that.
Even worse.
Even
Yes,
worse?
yes. So I can explain how the colonialism affected like Kuwait hierarchy. So what happened? Kuwaitis were living fine, like in mud houses, hunting pearls, having sheep and goats in the desert side. So there we had the desert and the sea, and it was beautiful. It was a very united culture. Before the British came, Kuwaitis looked at Indians as people of a higher status because they dealt with the people who were buying those pearls, tradesmen, so like rich tradesmen. But then when the British came, and of course the British wanted to stay because they found the oil, the Kuwaitis started to get these free houses. So you sell your small houses that you lived in, they take it from you and they give you a villa of 2 floors and 5-6 bedrooms. So suddenly Kuwaitis were seeing this wealth that came for free to them. They needed to move people into those houses so they could use these lands to build more and to find more oil. And the people who were brought in to build those houses, to build these streets, were the Indians. That's when hierarchy started being very clear. So the white Kuwaitis, which are like similar to my color, the white Kuwaitis are ranked higher. So they are the ones who have got the housings and so on, and the Indians started working for them. On top of them were the Brits. Black Kuwaitis have been always there, but they say there has been always saying that they always worked for the ruler family. As per what they say, they were brought from Africa, so they would sacrifice their lives because they were so brave that they are ready to jump in front of a bullet for the higher royal family. So they started being called the slaves of the royals. But by time they started being called just slaves. Of course, I'm sure there have been always black families. It's never that, I believe in migrations have happened thousands of years ago, and these black communities have been everywhere. But it happened that, yes, the black Kuwaiti is treated as a Kuwaiti, but then a white Kuwaiti family would be upset quite often if their daughter decides to take a black man, while a white man can take a black woman. But they don't want it the other way around for some reason. So we did have even black in our royal family. So they are respected, but then some white Kuwaiti society still stayed disrespectful to them. And after that, also people came from Philippines and Ethiopia to work in houses and house care and gardening and drivers. They are not respected. Rarely you would see them allowed to sit in the same dining table with the family. They have to eat alone in the kitchen. There are many of these things that, for me, it bothers me, and I spoke about it publicly and very openly with my children, that I can't forgive if someone treats a human being like this. In my father and we are considered white in Kuwait, so that was something. Small things that I noticed, that might sound innocent, but then when you go more deeper in, you understand that it comes from long colonization and history. When like my grandmother says to me, Nora, you're white, come in, don't stay in the sun or you'll turn black and no one will marry you. So you should be thankful that you're born white. So these kind of things, that whiteness is beauty for my Kuwaiti grandmother. But if I would think about it, we were under the Great Britain's colonization until the 70s. So of course the white blondes are prettier and more higher for those generations. But luckily, I still remembered my mother and her compliments to my curly black hair and my dark hair and my brown skin. Those were things within my teenage and in my youth, young age, like young adulthood in Kuwait, that I did realize that that's a country I cannot be living in. I was able to get out when I got married. So I ended up getting married. So that's the only way to move out of your father's home. So my ex-husband said that if this doesn't work, then I will send you to your mom. And he bought me the tickets for me and my daughter to come to Finland. Yeah, forever thankful. So I arrived here and it was like a dream. It took me around 3 months to realize that it's not a dream anymore. It's actually a reality. I am in Finland. I straight away took my mother's name, like my mother's girl name, so like before marriage or anything. So I didn't want to keep my father's name at all. So I had Nysönen. I was Nora Nysönen, so very Finnish name. I met a friend who is a mixed Finn as well. She's looking for her Arabic identity, while I was the mixed Finn who's looking to her Finnish identity. So we kind of like helped each other to kind of find our way through. We were both people of color, faced different types of difficulties around. So it was much easier to do it with a friend. She's still my friend and she's my best friend of 25 years now. It was interesting because she was starting to realize the racism. She already has noticed the racism within Finland, but I came, with these eyes that had these curtains on them. Finland cannot be anything but perfect. It was soon after happened the 9/11 in States, and I started getting like slurs, called names in the street, and the rejection became very clear to me within the few years that I lived here. I tried to learn the language, but the language was difficult for me to learn because I was psychologically already traumatized, and there was this alienation that has happened. So what has happened, I know I love my mother, but I did not know how do I love her. And the same thing from her side, it was very difficult for her to learn again. How do you be, or not learn from scratch, because she lost a child that was a 6-year-old, and now she has a child that is an adult. Like, how do I like an adult? How do I love an adult daughter? That was something new you have to learn. And it was extremely difficult. There were too many traumas. It took a few years. I was sent to psychological checkup. Why am I not learning Finnish? I was in lessons for 2 years with no progress. at the psychologist, she was a nurse. She was a psychological nurse from the terveyskeskus, so from the healthcare center. She said something that blew my mind, and I think it made total sense. She said, "Nora, but you're angry. That was your language. This was your country. This was your pure identity, and they left you without your permission. Yes, someone took them away, but in your mind, in your body, it feels that they left you. They abandoned you, and now when you need them, they are not there. So of course you're gonna resist them." Of course, that helped me today to understand also people with traumas cannot learn a new language. You cannot force people to come and start learning a new language. People have to understand, calm down, to find that procedure, which helps me at work because I deal with people who might have moved to Finland and are going through hard times and not able to learn the language. So I could actually explain this, that it takes time. I decided to move away when I went into depression. My first depression in Finland was 4 years after. My daughter just turned 4 and a few months, and I decided that I can't do this. I moved to Cyprus. I wanted to be with people who looked like me, so I might be accepted. I wanted an identity for myself. I couldn't find my identity in Kuwait because I wasn't accepted to their ways of life, and I wasn't accepted in Finland because obviously my language and my language and my looks don't fit the box that they want me to fit in. In Cyprus, I went to psychotherapy, and I think it was my daughter. I don't think it was purely my daughter who made me realize that I need help because it's not fair. I cannot give my traumas onto her. These are my problems. I need to fix them. So at least she will have a chance in this life. I hit my daughter. I was really hard for the first 6 years, and it was the fear in her eyes in a corner that reminded me that this happened to me. And I was like, no, this is not happening to her. So that's where when I was like, no, my father's story will not relive in my daughter. I kept asking for her forgiveness until she was 17 years old. We were in the kitchen, and I was doing my last year of trauma therapy, and I went to her and I was like, you know, darling, if there is something I would change in my life, it would be the first 6 years of your life. I don't want to hurt you. And she said, Katie, I think it's time you forgive yourself. I don't want you to change those 6 years. If you change those 6 years, you might not have noticed that you needed help. You wouldn't have sought help. You wouldn't be the perfect mother you are today. I wouldn't have learned that it is okay to seek help when you need. I wouldn't have learned that someone can change if they get the right support. So I don't want you to change those 6 years. You really have to forgive yourself. And that day I cried so much, but it made me think so much. What if those 6 years were different? Her life would have been better, yeah, but would I be who I am today? Would she be who she is today? Then I realized that no, I wouldn't change them. I'll have to live through that pain just for us to be here today the same way we are. And I started psychotherapy. So I went to a therapist there for a few years, which was amazing. Maria was, I would never be able to thank her enough to help me find my way. I went into extreme depression and got out of it with her help, and she helped me to forgive Nora. So I used to be very angry at me. I didn't like who I am because I didn't know who I was and what I was, and was I Finnish or was I Kuwaiti, or was I, and why Kuwaitis did this and why the Finnish people did this. So I was very angry with everything to do. I used to say to people, but I'm from States. I didn't want to be associated not with Kuwaitis and not with Finns. I was ashamed of them both. So it was a difficult place to live in a body which you're ashamed of. You're ashamed of your whole core identity. But she helped me to come out of that and see that it wasn't all of Finland. Not all Finland is bad. Not everybody in Finland is racist. Not everybody is the way that has hurt me. And Kuwait is not my father. Not all Kuwaitis are racist. There are many good Kuwaitis and wonderful people that I have met there, and they are fighting for human rights and people's rights and equality and so on. And you think like, yeah, you know, life is good. They are good. There are good people. And I am proud of being Kuwaiti and a Finn, but I'm proud of the good parts of them, and I'll try to work on the bad parts that comes with it, and that's the only way that my children will get it better. After 7 years, I moved to Bahrain. I wanted my daughter to have a bit of our Gulf culture, so the closest country to Kuwait in the Gulf region would be Bahrain. And what I found in Bahrain, that they don't have that hierarchy. There are people who are in higher places, but they are of all skin colors, all religions. It's maybe one of the very few Arab countries where everybody, Jewish, Muslim Shia, Muslim Sunni, you have the Christians, and even the Pakistani and Indian backgrounds, Bahrainis, would all be sitting together on one table and actually are equal. And they consider each other equal. And that's what I loved. I fell in love with that country a lot. And I always thought like, this is for my daughter. I want you to see this. When I wanted you to see people from the Gulf and Muslim people, I want you to see this, where the acceptance and the love and respect is everywhere. So we lived there for 5.5 years. I moved after having a child with my husband. We moved to Finland, so I wanted to be with my child for a while. And of course, my daughter wanted to go to high school, and I wanted my daughter to go to high school here. Then my adulthood struggle, you would say, here started, because now I'm unemployed. I've been told I cannot do manual labor because there is like pressure on my spine, so I cannot do manual labor. It has to be lighter. I had no idea what I want to do, because my work always been in food and hotel management and business, where it is very manual. You have to run around fixing events, planning, jumping from a car to another event, and so on. So it was a lot of manual work in my past. So When I realized I can't do that, I didn't know what I would do. I became also a client at the office. And I said that I needed Finnish language courses because, yes, I did have some Finnish that time, but my Finnish was not strong enough to be professional Finnish. And I still remember the worker goes and says, sorry, no, you're a Finn. We're not allowed to offer you Finnish language classes through the office. And I was like, but I'm unemployed. I cannot get employed unless I learn Finnish. What do you want me to do? And it was, okay, so I'm kind of like this, they call it väliinputoja, so a person who has fallen between the cracks. So I'm not an immigrant, but I'm treated in the work field as an immigrant, but I'm a Finn, so I don't have the immigrant rights. What was interesting that there was one psychologist working at the day office that time, and I booked an appointment with her because I was going now through a down, and I really needed to speak to someone to find a solution. I don't want to be unemployed and staying home. She gave an amazing suggestions. She said, they told you you're not allowed to study Finnish, but no one told you that you cannot go to high school again. Do your high school second time. Do it in Finnish this time. So I ended up going to Helsingin aikuislukio, which is Helsinki's evening high school for adults. I ended up doing the whole high school again. I did the exams in the end, the final exams. And funny, I was doing them at the same time with my daughter. My daughter also moved high school, so she ended up being with me in the last couple of years. So we were doing the long math together. And I remember the teachers there were so supportive, and they were saying to me, Nora, don't stop. You continue. You have so much to offer. So this feeling inside that, oh, I have something to offer, started coming up. So I continued. I went to Applied Science University to study social services as well. I work at this moment in Familia. Familia is an NGO for intercultural families, which means also mixed families that has more than one culture within the house. Going back to my start at Familia, where we started the anti-racist work. I went as a job trial to Familia. And I remember telling my boss, where have you been all my life? This is what I needed. I needed a place where people like me are understood and supported, and I could help other people who are like me. And soon, a few months after, I got a phone call, would you like to come and work here? And I was in a shock. I went to her, are you sure you want to hire me? Do you really think that I don't have a degree with any kind of social field to work for you? And I remember my boss saying, it's not that paper that I want the experience that you have. Others with that paper don't have that experience. That was the first time I was introduced to the subject of racism as a subject. I was very confused. I didn't know what's the difference between racism and discrimination. Even though some people tried to explain, we had trainings, we had those. So I went to many lectures trying to understand the subject, to actually maybe most of it for me to understand that this really has happened to me, because I wanted maybe a reason and understanding of those horrible feelings that I have got through the years from treatment of people, which I thought that I deserved it. But I think what broke my heart the most in this process is some people of color who came to train us, or who were told or who we ended up having meetings with. I don't know if it's the Finnish system and them growing here, or what is it exactly. But when I asked a question, my questions were not good enough for answers. They seemed to them it were stupid questions. They weren't high enough for them to answer, maybe. Most of my questions were in English always. While a person who is white, they gave them much more respect. Are they higher than me in your eyes? You automatically give respect, then look at me and you think that I'm not good enough. I think that was the most painful experience within working for anti-racism and wanting more. And it was just the beginning of my journey. So I found this Eventbrite at that time, and I went to so many lectures in States and those. Finland was not using it yet. So there was where I started getting my answers and understandings. And then I was strong enough to now continue this. But if I would have given up by the rejection from the beginning, I would have been broken again. I don't know how did I not break that moment, because I thought as a person of color, I'll be supported to reach there, but it wasn't. It was the white person had privilege of being spoken to and questions answered, and oh, she's such a professional, while I felt not. So I do family counseling, I do anti-racist work. Most of the anti-racist work is my work. That's mainly my work. I do some bits and pieces around as well, like organizing peer support groups and other activities, giving lectures, training professionals, training parents, and so on. So that's the positive side where somehow my life did end up going very well.